So it's happened to all of us once before, if not multiple times. You wake up in the morning on a certain day when Hot Toys announces something, and you look at your phone, your notifications, and you check it out to see what it was. And then it's another figure that you just go, ugh, another one? Really? What about X, Y, and Z? It's happened to all of us, and there's nothing wrong with that. We all collect Hot Toys, we all enjoy Hot Toys, but at the end of the day, don't you get kind of sick and tired of seeing the same old thing from certain characters or franchises for that matter? I know I do. Now, at the end of the day, Hot Toys is a business. They have to make money. I understand that. But just for a moment, let's have some fun with this video. And I'm going to be counting down the top five figures or maybe franchises that I wouldn't mind seeing Hot Toys put on ice for a while. All right, guys, starting off my list, it's going to be one that people are going to look at me like I'm crazy, but it's the Dark Knight trilogy. Now, hear me out for a moment. All right. The fact of the matter is, this is definitely a money making machine for Hot Toys. Not only them, but statue companies and other, memorabilia and things like that. It's a franchise that I know a lot of collectors grew up with. And so there's just an emotional attachment to this, and it's a wildly successful franchise. That being said, what I did was I did some research to the best of my ability and pulled up as many versions of Hot Toys they have done of these characters over the course of these three movies. That being said, when you look at everything they've done, I'm kind of I would be all right if after the Artisan Joker and the Batman Armory come out, I would be perfectly fine. Even the Bane also. Get rid of all the announcements, release the stuff that's out, and then just put the franchise on ice for a while. Now they'll never do it because once again, it's a moneymaker. But from a collector, I'm perfectly fine never seeing another character or figure from this franchise ever again for quite some time. If you look at the list, everything for the most part has been done, the main characters at least, the vehicles. And if not, they've also been 2.0'd and sometimes even 3.0'd or supposedly 3.0'd. I'm talking about that Batman Begins piece of garbage that they haven't gotten right. And to be frank, I'm all right with Inart taking a shot at it since Hot Toys failed to give us a proper Batman Begins figure. Even there, at the time of making this video, if you haven't checked it out, they even are updating once again the armory, with that DX19. So Hot Toys is just going to keep pumping out. I know we're going to get more of this franchise going down the road, but the fact of the matter is, Catwoman's been redone, Bane's been redone, the Joker's been done numerous times, the Batpod's been redone, the Batmobile's been redone. What else? The DX19's been done. The Batman Begins has been redone. So the only one I really don't see, Two-Face hasn't been really touched, and Commissioner Gordon, things like that. But for the most part, I'd be all right if this thing just they just froze it for a little while. And that's talking from the collector. From the business side, I get it. We're gonna get more variations, things like that. But like I said, I'm talking to you from the collector point of view, not the business side. Because trust me, if you think this was the one that I'm gonna go, talk about, there's going to be some other ones. But like I said, my first pick starting this out is going to be the Dark Knight franchise that I wouldn't mind seeing Hot Toys put on ice for a while. So my second pick might be a little strange, but hear me out. There's a little bit of a story to it. It's Darth Vader. You might look at me like, well, Darth Vader. Why would Hot Toys? They haven't made that many. The other reason why I have Darth Vader on here is because it's not necessarily about the quantity, but also a mixture of the quality of the character that we got. In my opinion, speaking from basically the movies and even the Obi-Wan show with the appearance of Darth Vader, I think that with with the characters that you see here, and like I said, I included the Return of the Jedi. I think this completes a very nice story arc of figures for this character. You have his appearance in A New Hope. You have the Obi-Wan. You have the Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, and the Rogue One. And then you even have him with the Tarkin 2-pack. And so I just think it completes a really nice arc of the character. I don't think it overdoes it. Okay. Like looking at the Dark Knight compared to Vader, there's obviously a very big difference in terms of quantity of figures. But like I said, I think they really hit on all the key aspects to the character. Realistically, his suit, changed minor from movie to movie. There wasn't really drastic changes. The most drastic, elements here with the characters, you could say, is the Obi-Wan Vader with the opened up Anakin head sculpt. The Return of the Jedi Vader with the the Emperor's Wrath, the Redemption Vader, that kind of thing. And so like I said, I think it just is a nice arc. And I don't think, I think Hot Toys did just the right amount of carrot figures for this character. And so I know that there's going to be other ones. There's going to be like, and Clone Wars versions, comic book. I know there's adaptations of this that they could obviously dive into, variations also. But from my point of view, I think that this really, once we get the Return of the Jedi Vader, I think it just completes a really nice arc of the character, giving everyone a nice representation. It gives you a nice mix of, because this is also one that not many people collect every single Vader. So, like for me, I have the Empire and the Obi-Wan, and I will get the Return of the Jedi Vader. It's just how things naturally progressed. But I know there's people that ultimately just get like one Vader, and I'm like, hey, he's a character that I think a lot of people can agree, like, hey, I only need really one or two, and that's it. I move on. So that being said, I would be okay if Hot Toys once again put this figure on ice for a while, and we didn't see any, variations or summer showcase exclusives or anything like that with this character. And like I said, they put him to rest, and he goes in the carbonite for a while. That's probably the best way to put it. So my third pick is going to be one of those where, once again, we're going to go back into Hot Toys money making. This is actually probably bigger. This is definitely going to be bigger than the Dark Knight. This is probably their easiest number one cash cow. But once again, it does get a little tiresome to see when you see an announcement of these things. And it's really just troopers. And I don't even know if I got every single trooper on here. There's might have been a couple exclusions, but I think you get the idea of troopers. Every variation, stormtroopers, umber troopers, clones, things like that. As I said, they're not going to stop because it's a money making machine. But for someone, and maybe I'm being a little judgmental because I'm someone that doesn't collect clones. First of all, clones, I just don't bother getting into them. And troopers, I really only mess with original trilogy troopers. I don't have any as of right now. I do have the which is basically the Return of the Jedi Stormtrooper. I have two of those on order, and that's all I wanted. And I have the original Sand Trooper. So OT Troopers, that's kind of my wheelhouse of what I stay within. But I mean, honestly, like I said, they're easy repaints. And I just think they're one of the things like you wake up in the morning, you see like a trooper announced. Like, for example, the that scout trooper from the video game from Jedi the scout commander from the Jedi video game. And so it's like, oh, really? Like, that kind of thing. Or, like the Umber Trooper came out of nowhere and now that's killing it on the aftermarket. So I just think this is one of those things where, like I said, I know they're not going to stop making them, but as a collector, it is kind of like you wake up in the morning, you see that announcement, you're just like, oh shit, it's a trooper or a clone. The other thing about it is it's very dangerous because of the army building. It's definitely probably arguably the number one most army built character, and I just mean clone trooper kind of in general. And so it can be really dangerous for collectors when something comes out and then you all of a sudden are buying multiples of them, and you really got to be careful. So it can really, these things can throw a wrench in your collecting plan when they come out of nowhere. But for me, realistically, I would be okay if they just put troopers on ice in general. They won't. That's the business side of it. But as a collector, I would be okay if we just like really kind of slow down on the variations and we stop seeing troopers and clones for quite some time. So my next pick is going to be Spider-Man. There's a couple of reasons for that. Now, the graph you see here, there's a couple characters that are Spider-Man, like not, Electro. I mean, they were just in there. Green Goblin, but you get the idea. Basically, from the beginning back all the way up to the most recent, there's been a lot of Spider-Man figures, right? There's been a ton variations across, MMS, the video game series, things like that. There's just been such an overwhelming amount of Spider-Man characters. Plus, you have, like I said, the three different versions of Andrew, Toby, and Tom Holland. So he's another one that, for honestly, the reason is I would be okay if this one went on ice for a while too, until they really figure out how to make a Spider-Man figure the right way. And it really kind of opened my eyes with the No Way Home line, where I honestly think that there just wasn't a good Spider-Man figure made. I don't have the integrated one. I do have the black and red Tom Holland from Far From Home. But what I mean by that is I was disappointed with Andrew. I think the body choicing on him was wrong, bad. The head connection was bad. And I know that was basically a reissue of the original. Either way, it was a really disappointing figure to get in hand. And then Toby, with the neck joint, the head sculpt, they're just like a lot of things that just got wrong. And if you have older Spider-Man figures, there's two things, especially with Tom Holland, which I really got aggravated with. Every Tom Holland Spider-Man figure, except for the red and blue, doesn't have the right neck. The suit goes literally up to, under his ear. And so they finally got it right with him, giving us a proper head sculpt on the red and blue final swing suit where the suit only goes up above a little bit, to give you a more realistic look. If you wanted something to achieve, you have to buy those skin rubbers to actually go around the neck, to kind of give you that look. I know third parties sell those things. But the fact of the matter is, and the other thing about it is like the seam on the head. I know with Toby, there was a lot of issues like seam gate where, the seam up there it was kind of brought down a little more in the forehead, which kind of screwed up the head sculpt. And I just think that, with that character, they've done a lot of different incarnations. Like if you look at the PS5, the classic suit version of him, where that was a molded sculpt, or even the advanced suit from that game where the sculpt was molded, I feel like those are elements there that really work well that they could have used on the MMS series. And I just don't think that Hot Toys has really nailed a good overall solid Spider-Man figure yet. I really don't think they have. There's just something wrong with one of them. And I'm not trying to sound picky, but the reality is, you think after all these figures, they've kind of cracked the code on Spider-Man, where you didn't have to put a seam down the center of the head, something like that. And that kind of can piss people off. And it's just so many versions. And he's another character where, if you're going to have a Spider-Man in your collection, you might have one of the big three, and that's really it. And there's very few people that are going to be all in on Spider-Man. Props to you if you are. But for the average collector, they probably only have a handful, count 5 or less of these characters, just because of the representation where you don't need multiples. Like that's why I didn't get the integrated suit, because the integrated suit to the black and red, there just wasn't enough difference for me there to spend the money on another Tom Holland. Now the final swing red and blue, there's enough differences there. So with Spider-Man, you just kind of got to pick and choose your battles with him. And that being said, until they kind of give us something new and, a different kind of style or go a different direction, I'm okay with this one being on ice, honestly. So my fourth pick is going to be Spider-Man, which leaves us with our number one, which you guys gotta know. It's Iron Man. I mean, it really is. Now, this is arguably up there with clones as being cash cow. Iron Man, Hot Toys, ka-ching, money. I get that. But Iron Man is like literally another one. Now, I started with Spider-Man and I went into Iron Man for a reason. It's because Spider-Man, a lot of people feel like is becoming the next Iron Man, where they just keep pumping out variations and variations and variations. Iron Man's another one where for me, I'm good with the original 7 and then maybe 1 or 2 off pieces, but there's not enough there to really get me going on Iron Man. It's also a very expensive piece to be able to say, hey, I'm getting every one. And as you can see here, this is almost every one of them. If I'm not mistaken, I think between reissues and everything, we're over like 80 plus Iron Man figures. Now, there's a reason for that, obviously, because it makes money. But from a collector's point of view, like here's an example for you guys. The last Iron Man announcement we had was the Mark II, right? That was the Mark II right here. The Mark II. That was basically, I think that was New Year, like the New Year's. That was the December 31st, end of the year banger, if you want to call it that. And since then, we haven't had an announcement for Iron Man. And I just want to be honest with you watching. Are you disappointed right now that we haven't gotten another Iron Man figure? I mean, obviously there's gonna be collectors that cool. I understand the whole missing out thing. Like, yeah, I missed out on the Iron Man, this, that, or the other. But we still have the Mark 6 with Gantry that has to come out. You still have the Mark 7 suit up with Tony Stark. You still have the Mark 7 basically statue open suit version. You still have, what is it? We still have, like I said, the Mark II. You still have the Mark 6 quarter scale that's on Sideshow. So there's still like, and then you still have the the Mark 6 quarter scale that's not coming out, that still has to come out. So there's still Iron Man figures that they still have to put out. So like Sideshow's got quite a few of Iron Mans are still there. So like, are you guys really upset that you haven't had another announcement yet? And it's been how many months now since this one? It's been what, 4 or 5, 5, 6 months. And we're going on 6 months basically estimated without an Iron Man announcement. Are you guys kind of bugging out? Are you getting kind of jonesing for an Iron Man announcement? I mean, they usually save him for like the big MMSs. If you look at MMS, I believe it's like 3, 4, 5, and 600. They've all been Iron Mans except 700. That was Vader. So, and end of the years are usually Iron Mans. So like they're saving them for like, if we had a, save them, I'd rather save them for special occasions, just random announcements. But let me know your thoughts. Iron Man's one that I'm definitely cool with, like it being put on ice. Hot Toys has officially given us the Hall of Armor, the 7 suits. They're all out there. and all you got the House Party Protocol, which I know is not fully complete, but nevertheless. And they've given you some Tony Starks and stuff. So, and I know they're going to tease them with the artisan. So I guarantee that's going to be a next one is going to be some kind of artisan version of Tony Stark or Iron Man, whatever it is. That'll be definitely coming down the line. It's no brainer. But that was my list of the 5 characters or franchise that I wouldn't mind seeing Hot Toys put on ice for a while. I'm not saying it's permanent separation, just a break. We need a break from I think a lot of this stuff. But like I said, this is just for fun. Hot Toys is a business. They're not going to stop making this stuff because it's obviously a cash cow and it's easy to do. But like I said, from a collector's point of view, when you wake up and kind of see that, you're just kind of like, another one. That's kind of what the idea about this was. But drop a like on this video. Please consider subscribing to the channel if this is in fact your first time, and drop a comment below and let me know what characters, figures, or franchises you wouldn't mind seeing Hot Toys put on ice for a while. Until then, this is Mr. Mom Collectibles saying take care, and I will see you guys in the next video.
Acknowledge me!